Partners have asked the city to do it as to bid it with another city project where we pay for it up front, but we actually run it. Developer, CDC or Wonder Track. So that is unique, and that's the same process that we did in 2019 with the new elementary school on Jasper Wood Drive, just to the west of here, where the school district had us build Jasper Wood Drive, put in the water and sewer, and then they paid us up front for the total cost. But we run it as a city project along with some other city projects in the area. So it is something to note on this, that they are looking at having the city bid it on another project in 2024, 2025 is what they're thinking right now. There's no set date on it.
Anybody else? Thanks, Rick.
Yep.
All right, so I hope everybody had an opportunity to flip through every single page. We'll do that in detail. Couple of them, perfect. So we'll just go through kind of each section. We have residential mill and overlay, residential FDR, commercial FDR, and then the other improvements. So we've reviewed these roads many times. The mill and overlay roads are still the same: Jefferson, Kingwood, Knollwood Court, Fairfax Road and Court, Cottage Grove Drive, Northwoods Drive, Camden Road, and Kenwood Drive. So the primarily in the mill and overlay portions, most of the design is in our typical section. We detail out that they're going to mill 1.5 inches and they're going to put back 2 inches. And then we also have some topsoil shouldering called out, just to help spruce that up, because we're raising it 1/2 inch. If they need to scoot back the shoulders a little bit to get machines in there, we'll have some funds in there to restore those shoulders. With all the roads, we basically just have a sheet very similar to this. This calls out the exploratory excavations, any other items that need to be addressed from a utility standpoint, and then the striping as well. So we just called out the mill and fill areas on here, and that kind of just takes care of the mill and overlays. They're pretty straightforward. For the residential FDR, Interlochen, Fairmont Court, Edmonton Road, Donald Street, Parkwood, Knollwood and Glory Road. Again, we call out that they're going to reclaim a certain depth. Since there's so many different pavement sections throughout all these roads, on the FDR we actually broke them out per quantity with how deep the reclamation is going to be. That way, we thought it'd be easier for bidding, because some areas are 6.5 inches, some areas 9.5 inches. If there's going to be cost savings, likely no, but we broke it out so it's a little easier to see and understand. So for the residential FDRs, we are going to be raising the roads slightly. They'll come through, reclaim the road, peel the material off, compact it, and pave it back down. So the roads will be raising, 1/2 inch to 1 inch in some spots. For the residential FDRs, we do have a traditional removal plan showing all the pavement that's going to get removed and restoring the driveways. And again, all of the exploratory areas as well. And then to put everything back together, we have just a plan view to show the pavement area and the striping and the driveways that will go back. And then just a turf establishment plan. Since it's a little bit more invasive, we included some more seeding. We plan on using the organic matrix again this year. Last year that showed to have really good growth, so we're going to use that again in all areas in lieu of sodding, just to be consistent throughout the whole project area. For the commercial FDR, Elmwood Drive, Fourth and Road, so east and west of, thank you, Elder. And then Edgewood Drive, Baxter Road, Whispering Woods Lane, and Delwood Drive. These ones will be a little bit more invasive to where we're not gonna raise or lower the road any, but we need to improve the pavement section. So the contractor will come in, reclaim the road, remove the reclaim, and then they have to do a subcut on the road. So we've laid out a phasing plan to where businesses like Costco and Menards will always have an entrance open. And then that way the contractor can't just rip everything up and nobody can access anything and they try to put it back together quick. We're gonna try to coach them into doing certain areas and make sure those are open before they tear into another area. So that's the goal with the commercial areas, make sure that businesses stay operational and don't call me every 10 minutes. So yeah, similar, we have a removals plan going through. There's still a couple businesses that I'm going to go talk to. There's the nail salon and then review with Costco a little bit more. But we believe we're proposing a pretty good plan so it's just minimal impact on their operations. And then putting everything back together. This is an example on Elmwood. So to the right of the page to the north, that's Costco's south entrance on the east side. So instead of doing Fourth and all in its entirety and stopping there, we're going to propose to do Elmwood through that intersection so they still have their west entrance for use. And then just a turf establishment plan for each roadway. And again, it's a little bit more invasive, but we have some seating about 5 feet out from the curb, and then we have a $50,000 allowance for irrigation system corrections. Hoping that we can get everybody to mark their irrigation, but we've included some money, so in case we need to fix everything. For the Elder Drive Trail, we went out there, we took a look at the ADA transition plan, went out there, did another walk on all of them, and determined which intersections can stay and which need to go. So we went through and pieced everything together, and we do have to get out onto the main road a little bit more, but it shouldn't be too bad. There's a couple entrances we're going to redo just to make sure that we're ADA compliant along that whole stretch. And so kind of going forward, we're proposing to go out to bid here. So it'll be advertised starting this weekend. And then we'd open bids on the 19th. And then we'd review the assessments, and I did make an adjustment to the public informational hearing. If everything goes well, I would think that we could hold that in May and hold the pre-con in May, at the end of May, and then that way they can start in June. So that'll give them 3 months to do all the work and hopefully have at least the residential areas done before they go back to school, so we can just be out in the neighborhoods and have to deal with the buses, and then giving the commercial areas a little bit more time to get the other things done. So are there any questions on the plans or the timeline?
Any questions? There were a couple questions that were asked that night that came to my mind today that Steve Waltrip on Donald, on the end of it, he had issues there. And then the Greg McDonald's old plant, Canada, whatever it is, they all are concerned about is there anything we can do for those people at all? Or
Yeah, so you're talking on Knollwood, the dips in the road, is that correct?
No, Donald Street you met with Steve, he's on the end of the
he lives on the
cul-de-sac.
end of Donald.
Yeah.
You met with Steve and went over his issues.
Yeah, there's some drainage issues, and we talked about his driveway, I believe we're talking about.
Yeah, probably.
And Camden Road is the ditch, the
Yeah.
water stands on the driveway.
Yeah.
Yep, so that, I drove out there right after I got the phone call, and their driveway just dips way down. So we're gonna remove their driveway to the right of way line and just pave it straight, and we're also gonna dish out their ditch a little bit more. Just so that there's some volume for retainage. And then on Knollwood, there's 2 dips in the road, and we're gonna flatten it out and add some more ditching on Knollwood. And there'll be plenty of ditching on Donald now, we're gonna, that'll be nice once it's done.
Okay, thank you.
And all those are in the plans, gonna be bid,
Yeah,
so not change orders.
No, my goal is no addendums in this bidding, that's my goal. So, we'll see what happens.
Good to go, I guess. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Item number 3.
Mayor, council, back in September, city council entered into a service contract with Widseth to complete site evaluations for 4 sites, 3 which are city-owned, 1 that was privately owned. For a future city hall, the study was to include site development due diligence, layouts and conceptual site layouts, and cost estimates for each site. Included in your packet is the final draft of the assessment study completed by Mike England and his team. Mike is here to present the findings of that study. Should note that on the council agenda is item to accept the study. By no means as being that City Hall is moving forward. This is just the completion of what I define as phase 2 of exploration of City Hall. Time will be set aside at a council retreat and then have this added as an item to talk about prioritization of capital improvements, which would include City Hall. So if council is willing to accept that, if there are no changes to the draft study, we'd be looking for a motion at the council meeting to accept it. At this point in time, I'll allow Mr. England to present the study.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. My name is Mike Anglin, working with Seth, and thank you for the opportunity to be with you tonight. I do have my laptop ready, or if we want to project that on there. So.
We can hook your laptop.
Okay.
up.
Yep, let's do that.
Switch the platform.
Correct. Okay. And that's just to accept the report.
Just to accept.
Yeah, I want to make sure we all understand that.
If you recall, it was actually March of 2020 is when we did our initial look at the City Hall. So we did a facility assessment. So we took a look at your existing facility, and we did identify some deficiencies. We also took a look at trying to address some of the space planning needs. At that time, we did determine that this existing facility needed to expand, provide a little bit more square footage, and I'll get this pulled up. Excuse me while I get this ready.
Doesn't have it plugged in right now.
So at that time, we took a look at a few design options for actually remodeling this and doing some additions and looking at developing the site. And at that time, we identified that the site made it a bit challenging to expand this building and to do further site development. So at that time, we met with staff and we developed a program for the City Hall, all the critical functions, and met with all departments, and we determined a building of about approximately 30,000 square feet was the size of the proposed City Hall. That included all the administration services and then the police department as well, and also housing the vehicles and storage. So Also, at that time, we took a look at doing, okay, how much site will this require? How big of a piece of property should we take a look at to do that? And at that time, we had determined that we needed about 5 to 6 acres of property to really be able to accommodate a 30,000 square foot village. And all of the associated parking and,
Go on.
okay.
Don't mind me.
So at that time, we had done a site plan that was essentially, just a generic site. You know, it wasn't site specific, and so as part of phase 2, that's what we were tasked to do. So we worked with city administrator, and we took a look at 4 properties in particular, and so we can take a look at those tonight. As part of our deliverable, we did take a look at each site. We made just some general comments of that. There we go. Thank you, John. And so we took a look at 4 parcels, and I'll just get it up.
Mike, you might have to turn the brightness up on your screen.
Oh, yeah.
Once you get
Sure
pulled
can.
up.
Thank you. All right, here we go. So the first page that I have on our analysis basically takes a look at each parcel. And what we included here is just taking a look at the overall size of the parcel ID. And we just make a few comments just about how can this property potentially handle what we call it as the city center. And so what we'll do, we'll just kind of go back and forth with some of my narratives, but some of the parcels we actually took a look at proposing some additional land that we may need to acquire in order to make it accommodate and work with the new city hall. Then what we did was also included some site information in terms of a cost. So we took a look at just general site development costs as well as construction costs now. So back in 2020, in our report, we provided you with some cost information, but obviously we needed to take a look at updating some of that. So I think what we'll do is we'll jump in and we'll take a look at the site option. So the first site we're taking a look at is over by Baxter Elementary. So we just all heard a presentation about where the Children's Museum is going. So what we did is we took a look at, in the very north portion here, is where we were proposing that you could basically just divide up this parcel that the city currently owns. It's 32 acres. So there's certainly adequate space to make this property work. One of the interesting things about looking at this site was not only how could we place the city hall on this property, but what does it mean for the other amenities that could be on this site? So what we've shown in the very north part of this is the city hall, which is identified in the blue rectangle. What we're proposing with all of these is a 2-story structure that would achieve that 30,000 square feet. Because then what that does is it frees up a bit more of the property itself that can be developed for other amenities. So we're showing that there would be access coming in off of the east, and then we are showing surface parking. But then in all of these, you'll notice that we are showing, this is basically just showing like an amphitheater. So that's what's shown in the southern portion here, just south of the parking. We're showing that just from a conceptual standpoint in terms of what could also accompany the city hall. With this option, as you can see, we've shown that there would be further development of a road that could be extended through with a roundabout with controlled access that would bring you into the remaining portions of this site. So what we're showing is that there would be a nice green space that could be developed. This is showing actually that maybe this could be developed as multifamily housing. So as we're looking at fulfilling the need to having workforce housing or just housing in general for our community, that could be a potential development that could occur on this site. And then in the southwest corner, we're identifying that this could also be developed as potential sports complex or an area that could also satisfy some of the other needs within the community. We, in these other hand-looking blocks here, we're just, again, it's just showing how there could be some additional development. So with the city hall being located on the north side, that came about with internal conversations with city staff in terms of from police department, what's our best reaction time in terms of getting out of this parcel and getting to our roads that we need to in order to respond to a situation. So there was a lot of great internal conversations that took place as well. So again, with this first concept, we're just showing how there could be potentially some additional development that could occur. And so it would just be a nice way to establish these 32 acres with not only the public benefit of the city hall, but then also some other potential amenities that could serve the Baxter residents very well. We did put together another option, and I apologize. The first option here is where we took a look at having a sports complex. And the second option, the only difference there is that we took a look at where there could be multifamily housing. One of the major things to keep in mind, however, with this is that if we do have access coming off of the west, we would definitely need to identify some needs with traffic control or just with Baxter Elementary being located there and with the current issues during the day when it's pick up and drop off time. This would certainly add some additional traffic to Jasper. So when we took a look at each one of these sites, we certainly wanted to take a look at the impact, not only in terms of how it could be developed, but with the existing infrastructure, what would that mean for the city? And so taking a look at Ironwood Drive up along the east, same with Mapleton and Jasper, but it's surrounded by all of those. And then when you take a look at potential development with the Children's Museum, this is a really interesting site. It was really interesting for us to take a look at it and just think about the potential development and just this energy that could be created here with relocating city services. Does anybody have any questions with what we proposed in these concepts? Again, just very high level, but for us, we felt it was just important from a conceptual standpoint to just take a look at. 32 acres is a lot of property. And we know that the city has taken a look at this property in previous years. One thing also to note within our conceptual site plans here, we are trying to identify all of the existing trail systems that exist currently around each site. So having connectivity from a pedestrian standpoint is very important to note that as well. So you'll notice that we're not only showing interior trails, but also existing trail systems that are located around each parcel. The second property that we took a look at is actually located to the west of Walmart, and that parcel, this is the example where we are proposing that this would require some land acquisition. So the existing city parcel that exists here, what we're proposing here is that you would actually purchase some additional land to the west and then extend Homestead Drive. So we're just showing how that could be a benefit of potentially selecting this site and this property for City Hall.
Could you show me where
Yes.
Walmart would be?
Sure can.
So I can get a better handle on that.
So this is Walmart.
So that,
This one.
Gracewind Senior Housing would be on the very north end of that road, extended just to the northeast of the site. So this is the property that the city owns on Falcon Drive and Quarry Road.
So the city owns this property right now. And what we're proposing is that we would propose that this would be additional land that the city would need to acquire. The big thing with this parcel, with this opportunity is that you'll notice that if you look at your hard copy, and maybe I could zoom in this a little bit. But when you take a look at, one thing we wanted to include was all of the contours here. So you look at all of those lines and the contour, this property, when we talk about buildable area, that's one of the things that we really wanted to take a look at as well. So when we look at the buildable area, we're locating, once again, the city hall just more in the north portion of this, and then utilizing some of the grade and the contours to create some kind of a public amenity or space. But the amount of buildable land within this site concept and these parcels is about a third, really. You know, when you take a look at the amount of property that's there. But again, with the configuration, the current configuration of the existing parcels, really needed to concentrate the building area to be located more towards the north side. Again, one of the benefits could be, with Homestead Drive here, is to extend that through. So that from a, you know, what would maybe be just another benefit of this concept would be that. But again, the amount of buildable area for this parcel was about a third of what you're looking at. And you know, what are the other opportunities there? Just the site contours and the site itself would make further development a bit more challenging on this site. I will say for us as a design team, this seemed to be the least desirable, just in terms of what's the potential for the additional. But location-wise, within the city of Baxter, I mean, it could still be a good consideration for the new city hall. As we move ahead, this is located along Golf Course Drive, and this is just adjacent to the Northland Arboretum, and of course, the current Whiskey Creek project. So the city currently owns this, obviously, and so we placed, I don't know, there's something about the northeast corner of the properties, but we placed the city hall here once again. And what we were proposing is that the city would acquire and purchase these two properties. And you could develop and place the city hall in this location, and then there could be some amenities that could be developed adjacent to what will be a really nice outdoor amenity that you guys are currently creating here in the Whiskey Creek project. Also, there could be an opportunity to extend Design Road through the property, and then that would connect it to Cypress along the east side there. This concept, this site concept, we felt pretty excited about it as well. And really it's because of the potential of what else could potentially be developed to the north, but then also what are some of the other site and community amenities that you could imagine that could be around the periphery of this new area of this street.
One where you noted it would be more of a downtown feel or?
Yeah, it did. It felt like this could be part of a downtown type feel. And again, when you think about the Arboretum, from a pedestrian connectivity, and also just direct access to all of the existing trail systems, connection to 371, it seems like it could be very readily available from a pedestrian standpoint, as well as to the commercial activity that along 371 corridor. One of the other things that we took a look at with this site, however, was, you know, how can we potentially reroute and have this road actually kind of curve up a little bit in to the east, so that it may provide a bit more opportunity for the development of the city hall project and actually allow for some potential growth in the future. So, you know, that's one of the things that we just took a look at. We did a lot of different design iterations for this parcel, for this property. Again, we found that there was a lot of potential with this, and but that there is a lot of potential with this, and again, with just the improvements that you're making with the property currently. You know, it might also spur some growth. Who knows what would happen. So, the last property that we looked at was the property that the city of Baxter currently owns, and this once again would be this is just south of where all of the clinics are located now, with Essentia Health Clinic. And this is right off of the roundabout. And with the parcel being dissected by the road, it's really, you're looking at developing potentially just, in this instance, the southwest corner. So once again, with the blue rectangle, that would be City Hall. There are currently 2 access points that would work out very well, at least with the building position in that, and with the site amenity here. But then there's opportunity to potentially divide this into 2 parcels with some development that could occur adjacent. So there's an opportunity for potentially selling a portion of this dividing the property. Just going back, just looking at the time here. So looking back at the cost summary, what I just wanted to highlight here is that just made a few general comments on each design option. That we do have site development, general site development costs here for your information. We're identifying a potential turning lane. So again, when we take a look at the first option, we're trying to just include a little bit of the site infrastructure costs and then the building. We're looking at a 30,000 square foot building, looking at a $350 a square foot current cost. So for each design option, we're identifying, in this instance with site option 2, a land acquisition, site development costs, an extension for Homestead Drive, again, the infrastructure, and then the building. So for all 4 options, we've identified and itemized the different costs associated with it. So it's a lot of information to get through, and I tried to save a little bit of time here, which I didn't save a whole lot. But it was a really exciting exercise. There was a lot of potential here. Potential costs. With that, I'll answer your questions.
Council, any generic questions or this one? A lot more discussion to come. Any staff on that meeting?
Yeah, no, I just want to reiterate again, this process was to create ideas of what city properties could be utilized for with the city hall. As indicated, there was 3 that were city-owned, obviously, 2 of which are large enough to accommodate. The one on Falcon Drive, Mike has indicated, would require additional acquisition. And then the 4th one was adjacent to our stormwater project, kind of trying to create a sense of place. And so, as you can see, it just wasn't place in a building. It was trying to create a sense of place for City Hall in the context of creating community space. So I think the options that presented do present that opportunity. Look forward for future comments from the council at a work session or at a retreat.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Mike.